Pocket Hours is brought to you by Scout Real Estate. At Scout, we're doing things differently with our focus on legendary service and creating a community of producing agents to spur each other on to do higher quality work while keeping the clients at the center. Come see how it feels to work with a small group of committed brokers with the shared goal of upping their game. For more info, please contact Jennifer Nelson, founder and owner of Scout, 206-227-7966, or jennifer@scoutrealestate.com. Hello, folks. Jennifer Nelson here with Pocket Hours, and I have the privilege today of interviewing one of the most lively and charismatic brokers I know. You may know him too. His name is Aaron Janus, and he is a lot of fun to talk with and hear about his stories. But at the end of the day, even when he's super funny, he is a very serious businessman, and he does a really good book of business and has some good insight for you. I'm really excited for you to hear my conversation with Aaron. Thank you so much for being on Pocket Hours. This is going to be fun already. It's already fun, and we haven't even started talking yet. So
it's very fun.
I appreciate
it. Most of the fun is in the setup, isn't it?
It really is. All the technical stuff, that's a blast. So,
yeah.
Okay, so you got sent some questions ahead of time, and we're going to mostly try to stay on script, but I can tell already that we're going to veer off, and that's going to be the most fun part. So again,
sorry, did you send me questions?
I did. Okay. So good. You're prepared. So that's great. That's awesome. Okay. So Aaron Janus, tell me a little bit about who you are, family, pets, who's Aaron Janus? Just in a nutshell.
Who is Aaron Janus? God, if there isn't a question that has received more attention over the past 40 plus years.
Yep.
Well, as you know, I'm a real estate professional, a denizen of the Duwamish Peninsula. And I am legally married and have been for, 30, 40 years. I think 15.
Okay. Yep. Right in there somewhere.
Right in there. So I have two wonderful children, 13 and 10.
Huh?
They are my why, as we would say.
Mm-hmm.
And pets, I don't really want to talk about that. I do have an axolotl.
Wow.
I have an axolotl that I love dearly, and then I have two cats, which made me realize that I'm actually not a cat person.
Right.
And no, they're a stark reminder of poor life choices.
Good. Yes. Yeah. I don't even know what that first animal is, so maybe you can share with all of us because it sounds interesting.
Sure. It's like a walking fish. Basically,
okay.
It's like a sort of like a salamander. It's got the legs and it's got a big head and it smiles all the time.
Oh, and it's so much easier than the cats, so we'll take it. I like it.
Exactly. Love it.
Exactly. Okay, well there you go. So real estate professional, and how long have you been doing this gig?
I have been doing this gig. I was licensed in 2004, so about 17 years.
Wow.
Which makes me sound old.
It does, but you're not. Yeah. You're just spry. You're just a spring chicken. And a little bit
that or all the gray hair. I mean,
maybe that's just the last few years in real estate that did that to you. We don't know.
Yeah, that could be it.
Okay, so prior to 2003 or 4, whatever you just said, because I'm a good listener, what did you do prior to real estate? What was your profession?
So I was in the restaurant business for a long time, and then I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore, and then I went to college. So I went to college a little bit later, and after I left college, I went to the University of Washington. I was in the business school there, and I was in the entrepreneurship program, and decided I wanted to start my own company.
Okay.
And that sort of led me into property management, and so I was going to go into business with a friend of mine and start a property management company. So I got a job doing that because figured that's probably a good way to start, is to learn the business. And when I got into property management, I realized a couple things. A, that I didn't want to go into business with my friend, and B, that I didn't really love property management, interestingly enough, in that form. And so sales, when I got licensed, I realized that was sort of, it was that entrepreneurial thing that I wanted, and it got me in front of people, and it was this little baby that I could care for and that I was really passionate about. So that was it. So I did property management for a couple of years, and then I went right into sales. This was right out of college. So
Right
I've
into
been
real
doing
estate. Yeah.
right into real estate. Yeah. So we did the property management. And then, as you know, now, when the market tanked back in '08, we started doing property management in the form that it is now
hmm
on my team. And it's been a wonderful experience.
So Aaron, just for our listeners, you do both. The Janus Group does both property management and residential sales. That's correct, right? And
That's correct.
okay, and what percentage do you think of both? Like if you were to kind of say, this is how much property management I do, and this is how much real estate. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's ebbed and flowed. Last year, property management was about 23% of our revenue.
Okay.
So not quite a quarter. So between 20 and 25% usually every year of revenues comes from property management. And it really started, I don't know if I've told you this, but when the market crashed those years ago, I had clients that didn't want to do a short sale. They could buy the new house, but they didn't want to take a loss. So I was referring them out to these property management companies, and then I would follow up with them. And it was the same story all the time. Like, they never get back to me. There's no transparency. I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, well, this is silly. I mean, I have the experience that we could do this. So it started really as a value add for my clients, and then other agents in my office, and then agents in other brokerages that were having the same issues.
Yeah.
So we've kept it pretty small. I mean, we manage about 80 doors right now. So we just keep it small. We keep good properties with good owners. We're able to attract good tenants, but it's just a really nice thing because we're able to really take care of people, and we're not worried about scaling beyond our ability to service people well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense. And I can say on the show out loud that has definitely been my experience with property managers in the past. I've been doing this 20 years. And I feel like maybe their phone broke all the time, or I don't know, like they dropped it in a lake because there's just no response. So super grateful for what you do, and grateful that I can always count on you to pass off people that need property management over to you, and you take good care of them. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. I
Janus Group.
appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I want to know when you started this gig a long time ago, there's going to be listeners on the show that are just newly licensed, right? They're in their first couple years of real estate, and they're in over their head, right? They're swimming. It's all the things you can think of. The fire hose. How many cliches can we say? I don't know. But
Right.
tell me a little bit about what advice you would have given yourself back then that they could hear now.
Yeah, I think when I got into it, I did a couple things right. I had an idea, I had a path forward to build my business. Now, it happened that I was in property management, and so it was easy to work those relationships I had in terms of, hey, these are renters and they're going to buy and I'm going to help them, and we already have a relationship. So to sort of know, at least for that first year, a path forward to create some revenue from it.
Okay.
And then another thing I did is I looked in my office. I did a lot of due diligence on where I ended up, and I ended up at the office that I was in. I'm with the Remax franchise, not because of the brand, but really because of the people and my designated broker, and also the other agents that were in there. And when I started there, I found, okay, who are kind of the top dogs here, and what are they doing? Because there's really no sense in reinventing the wheel. This is not complicated. Somebody has a formula, and you just got to learn the formula. So I kind of keyed in on what he was doing, and still do to this day, and still haven't caught him yet. One of these days. But that's been wonderful. And then it took a while, but I would say that if I were to go back, I probably would have had a coach right away. I would have had a coach. Now, my broker in some respects, and some of the other agents in my office were sort of, de facto coaches, but I was involved with Tom Ferry for many years. And I think if I would have had that experience earlier on, it might have fast tracked me a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
to success. So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah,
So for newbies on the call, the office that you choose, or at least the people you surround yourself with, super important, right? If you
huge.
ever find yourself in the first couple of years of your business being the top agent at your office, maybe it's time to find another office, right? Right. In some ways, it's always have people that are doing better than you around you so that you can learn more. That's great. And coaching, super important. Like you said, I think your manager at your office and potentially other mentors in your company can de facto, like you said, fill in those gaps. But that's a different experience than actually hiring someone who is 100%, on your team and has a regular, consistent schedule to sort of teach you the ropes. So love that. And I'm just going to tease you for 1 minute, Aaron, about the balloon with Remax. Can't help it, but come on. What's going on with that logo? We got to work on it. Tell corporate we need a new balloon. Need a new balloon with Remax. So that's great. Okay, so give us a little bit about what a day in the life of Aaron Janus looks like. I know that that's probably different every day, and because of who you are, okay. Tell me.
Who am I? So no, that is what I've learned, is that the consistency, especially in the morning. You've heard lots of personal growth and development gurus talk about these bookends, and how you start the day is, that beginning of the day is the one thing that you have the most control over. So that's probably the most valuable part of my routine. So when I'm totally on point, I'm up at 5 o'clock. And what's important is I don't turn on my phone for at least 2 hours. Okay. So I'm up at 5, do my thing. I meditate. I've been a meditator for a long time. And so I meditate for a half hour when I'm a real good boy. Maybe not this morning, but I will work out then for a half hour, 45 minutes. I do journaling. And then I get the kids ready and off to school. But yeah, those first couple hours are so important, and really starts the night before. I'm big on planning the next day ahead of time and kind of visualizing how my day is going to go, and then starting it with some stillness, with some meditation and journaling is how I start the day. And then it's our business. From there, everything goes a little nuts, right? So, but yeah, I make it into the office just about every day, unless I have other appointments that are out, but I try to maintain some sort of consistency there. And then obviously prospecting and all those things that we have to do on a daily basis to be successful.
I love it. So this won't be a surprise to you, but in my interviews thus far with producers like yourself, this has been a recurring theme. So for those of you listening in, take note that these are some recurring themes to notice, that people that are in the high producing range, like Aaron, make a habit of getting up early and spending some time prior to the sort of start of their quote unquote workday, really investing in themselves and investing in some time to be quiet and not getting right on their phone. One of the other folks I was interviewing said, please don't keep your phone in your bedroom. First of all, it's just bad for your health. But second of all, it sets a temptation to just look at it. Even if you go, what time is it? Then you see all these notifications on your phone and you can't help yourself, right? So, but just take note that I think this is part of a really good practice of taking care of yourself and then slipping into your business when you're ready to go in the morning. That's great. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit. I know you've had a lot of fun and weird and funny encounters in real estate, but we want to hear a fun story that you've encountered in your real estate career.
I don't. There's been so many crazy things that have happened. Some of them not safe for this program. It's family friendly, right?
It sure is. Yes.
There's something that I was just telling a client the other day, because we were in a home and there was a drippy faucet, and you might first think, oh well, maybe I should shut the water off in that, because you want to be helpful. And I told them this story. This happened. I couldn't have been maybe a year into the business, and it was wintertime. And it was a home over in Columbia City that had just been remodeled top to bottom. And
no.
I was previewing it for a client, and I go in there, and in the kitchen I'm hearing this drip, drip, drip. And so I look under the sink, and I'm like, oh, it's dripping. Well, what do? You've got to turn it off. You got to be helpful, right? So I go to turn the supply line off, and it snaps in my hand. And I don't know if you know how much water comes out of there.
Oh, my word.
So now I'm just everything. And I'm running around, and I'm trying to find the water shut off. And I go downstairs of this freshly remodeled home, and there's water just pouring through the ceiling, down through the light fixtures. And I'm calling the agent, and I'm like, hey, man, sorry. Where's the water shut off? And he's like, well, it's on the sidewalk. You have to go out to the main. It was winter. Wow. We just had a snowstorm, and there was two inches of ice on there. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. you're going to need to come down here and take care of this. And so I hightailed it out of there. But my broker said, yeah, if something like that happens, just go ahead and don't touch anything. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Just look with your eyes, right?
exactly.
Look with your eyes. Yeah.
Don't try to be a hero.
Pocket Hours is brought to you by Scout Real Estate. Hi, I'm Jennifer Nelson, owner at Scout Real Estate. I started this firm with the vision of doing things differently, with our focus on legendary service for our clients and creating a community of producing agents to spur each other to do higher quality work. If you are interested in learning more about how a small group of like-minded brokers have come together to have some fun while doing a lot of business, reach out to me, 206-227-7966, or email jennifer@scoutrealestate.com. I promise you this, fun is a high priority for me, but so is winning. So if you appreciate those two things, you might be interested in Scout. Looking forward to hearing from you. I had a similar experience where there was a home, the window would not shut, giant window in an upstairs modern. And we sort of realized when we walked in the front door that the door wouldn't open very well. And the gate on the side was also sort of hard to latch. Turns out these are signs, by the way, for those listening, that potentially the home has shifted, just so you know. So I went to this window, this giant window in the front, and I couldn't open it or close it. And I was trying to help my clients be able to see how cool this is. You could open it. And I, being the person I am, decided to go ahead and force that and see if I could get it open. And as I did, the entire window shattered. Just the whole thing cracked and shattered. And so that was a very expensive, preview that they didn't end up buying that house either. So,
hopefully it was tempered
later.
Glass.
No, yeah, it was, but it was all over the
that would be messy.
Over the driveway. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of ruins your day. Anyway, yes, real estate. So fun. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the people that are listening to this show today that have been sort of at this plateau, right? They've been in the business, they're not new anymore. They're doing a decent number of transactions. They're helping people, but they just feel like it's the same old thing. And they kind of hit the same numbers. They can't really go to the next level. They want to be a high producer. They're not. They're in that middle range. They're supporting their family. They're doing the thing, but they're not sort of reaching the next level. Mm-hmm. What did you do that you can point at or think of that sort of helped you get to where you are?
Well, that's really interesting because no matter where you are, at some point you're likely to get there, and I feel like I'm there right now. And the old adage, like, what got you here won't get you there, I think rings true for me. And right now we're going through some transitions on my team, and having a team right out of the gate, that's one way that you get from here to the next level is bringing people onto a team. It's probably another conversation, but as it stands right now, I have my and I'm not sure when this is going to air, but my right hand man for the last nearly 6 years is going to be leaving. He is going off to gallivant around Europe or something. Oh. But anyhow, we've had these conversations like, yeah, no, this is great. This is a really great opportunity for us to get somebody different in here that will help us. Like, he helped us get from here to here, but to get to that next level, you just need to mix it up a little bit. I mean, never take your eyes off the fundamentals, the things that got you here, but also you got to look for things that you need a fresh set of eyes sometimes to say, hey, well, what about doing this? Or how about we do this like this? So I'm really excited about that, but I would say, just take a look at what you're doing, and it's time to change something. You can't keep doing the same things. You will get the same results, right?
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Change something up, right?
Change something.
Change something. Totally. Talk to us a little bit about this particular market. I mean, obviously, people could be listening to this 3 to 5 years from now, and they'll laugh about what we're about to talk about, maybe. But right now, it is an incredible seller's market. Multiple offers are still happening. How are you navigating that with both buyers and sellers?
Yeah, obviously much more challenging on the buy side. We're having to get super creative. I helped a buyer close on something last week, and we had made 11 offers, which is very exciting. But any of you've probably experienced this too. He had a low down payment, right? So it's
Yeah.
5% down. Now in this market, you think, okay, well, how is that going to happen? Um, won't go through the entire strategy, but at the end of the day, we ended up having a huge increment that we're escalating, right?
Okay.
So we needed to figure out a way to have a client or have a seller rather take a chance on us because
Mm-hmm.
there's not a difference between 5%, 10%, 20%. It's a perception of the seller. So we're like, okay, well, what do we need to do? So well, this is what we need to do, and we did it, and we got it. So just have to be super creative. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just about the most amount of money or the least amount of contingencies. It's a whole, you have to take a holistic approach with buyers and just get really creative. And each situation is different. On the seller side, obviously, it's somewhat easier, although, we still have these conversations with sellers about doing the right things, right? And we just created this video for sellers about the value of proper preparation, even in this market.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Obviously you're probably gonna sell it regardless, but would you like to get another $100,000 out of it for
Yeah.
this $20,000 investment? So,
Yeah.
but it's really just communicating effectively with buyers and sellers expectations and showing people the path. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but these our clients are hiring us to be their guides, their Sherpas, if you will, to get up the mountain, and it's up to us to be able to articulate that clearly.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
back for a minute. This is such an interesting part of what you just said. The percentage down, there's such a weird perception. And I think brokers lend to this. They contribute
hmm
to this continued sort of weird perception
right,
around money down.
yeah,
And of course, I guess it comes into play when there's an appraisal thing happening. But
right,
at the end of the day, someone who puts down 10% and someone who puts down 30%, as far as them being able to buy it, doesn't impact that, right? They are approved.
yeah. That's right, and it's actually really interesting because I tell you that, and then we just reviewed offers this last Tuesday, and we had 7 offers, and you lay everything out on a spreadsheet, and when you're just looking at the numbers, you're like, okay, down payment 20%, 5%. There's just some sort of perception, right? But as you
Yep,
said, that is the challenge is the wherewithal to make up for a low appraisal, right? And
correct.
that's where you're right. There's and especially if my 5% down is with, if I can name drop, like Caliber, somebody that's really good that you trust, versus 20% with Quicken Loans.
Yeah.
There's a lot more value with that 5% Caliber client. But yeah, it's really it's interesting. But then yeah, when you're explaining it to the seller, they just automatically think, oh well, this is stronger because it's 20%. But yeah, it's clearly not the case.
And it's funny to me that as long as I've been in real estate, and I know long before that, sort of the adage of 20% down, which was basically our parents, right? Maybe even that
Right,
far back, was
right,
like you have to have that in order to buy a house. And no matter how many times that has shifted or changed, and we know that's actually not true,
right,
it's carried on in people's minds, right? Because their grandpa told them that or something, that
right,
20% down, 20% down. And that's just so few loans ever are 20% down now.
right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
trying to shift that as we talk to buyers and sellers. That's good. Okay, so if you were to point to 2 to 3 things, I want you to come back to the teams part of it because I think that's going to be part of this answer. But if you were to point to 2 to 3 things that you think contribute to your success, and I want to talk for a minute, Aaron, about your success. So I don't think you know this, so this will be fun for you to hear. But of the 34,000 licensed real estate brokers in the state of Washington, you rank at 3.8%. You are in the top 3.8% of all licensed brokers in Washington.
How do you
So
know that?
congratulations.
How do you
I looked
know
it
that?
up. I can show you exactly how I found it. So congrats. That's awesome. That's a feat already. And that means you are definitely killing it. But we want to know a couple things you can point at that kind of got you to that production level.
Well, I think the top thing we talked about already, it's self care and that morning routine. I think is probably the biggest one. And with breaking that down, like yeah, just taking care of myself. Meditation has had a huge impact in my life. Um, that's probably number one. And number two is surrounding myself with the right people. Right. I mean, I don't know what is that Stephen Covey, you're the average of the five closest people
Mm-hmm.
around you.
Yep.
So if that average is low, then you should probably get around some other people.
Yeah.
And certainly we've all had to deal with that in our lives. But my team, I think more than any success I've had is what I'm most proud of, because I think that I've been able to attract some really wonderful people, and and I think it's so much comes down to that. And it's funny because we wouldn't even have to be selling real estate. Our team, we could do anything, and we do have some ideas. Should things shift, we have lots of ideas, but we would do them all together because we just share this ethos, and attracting that and just supporting one another in business and in life. I mean, big part of our success, I think, is from our willingness to be open and vulnerable and being open to personal growth and development. And that's a big part of our team and how we each live our lives individually. So those are probably the top two things I would say.
I would just add to that that one of the things that you just said, Aaron, stands out to me, and that is that this can be an incredibly solo business, right? There's a ton of lone rangers out there, right? You hang your license with some brokerage and they sort of go get them. And that's the extent. And you can stay home and never go to the office, and you can go sell houses, and you can be really solo. And real estate has taught me that that is not the way to go. No matter what career you're in, but particularly in this one that can be so solo, it's to find your people, right? To surround yourself with. And then the other thing you said was about personal development. And this particular career, I was in education before this, has pushed me to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to become an expert of people. Right. And interacting with people and communicating with people. And so those find their ways into, wow, I need to work on this personally, right? I need to figure out this stuff and develop this part of me so that I'm better able to do that, better able to be a human
Right.
in the world. And that will translate into my business. So that's great.
Exactly.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so get your crystal ball ready for this one. We're on the last couple questions here.
Okay.
I know you have one just sitting around in your office, so you can find that real quick and pull it out.
I have some electrical tape. Will that do?
Okay, yeah, same.
I can
Yep,
kind of
exactly.
look in that and
good.
Okay,
Good. That's perfect.
Good.
So 12 months. If we're going to look back, let's say next year, right around May 2023.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to say about what the last 12 months in real estate looked like? What would you say?
So, if I may opine, I think that these rates, I don't know what you think. I'm already starting to sense a little disturbance in the force. And I think that it's going to have an effect. It's certainly going to have an effect on the purchasing power. Well, everybody's purchasing power, but particularly those at the entry level market. And I think that's going to have a little bit of a ripple effect. So there's still such an imbalance with supply and demand, and I don't see that really changing. But personally, I think that we're going to start to see the trajectory of prices come down a little bit. I don't think prices are going to fall, but I think that prices are going to stop accelerating as they are. I do think there's going to be, I don't know that there's going to be much more inventory that comes up, but I think there'll be a little less demand. So I think the net effect will be a little bit more balanced. But if we have half of months inventory right now, I would say that maybe we're at 2 months. I still think that we're going to be under that 3-month seller's market. That's my prediction.
Okay, sounds good. And one question about this also is just to say, when you talk about prices changing, I think what you said, let me just clarify, is that instead of homes that are listed for $1 million selling for 1.5, that potentially they might sell for 1 million or 1.1 or something.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think the trajectory of prices doing this and escalating and leapfrog 10-15% is going to come down.
Yeah.
And I still think that we're going to see a lot of competition on those really the turnkey homes, those mid-century moderns, the things that really have. I think we'll still see more competition there, but I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities for buyers to get in and not have to escalate, 5, 10, 20%.
That's great. And any advice to brokers listening to this that have clients that are saying one way or the other, whether they have sellers or buyers, we'd like to wait because we can see that this is going to change things a little bit. So we think we're going to wait to buy. What advice would you give them around that?
That that's really tough. And I think that I don't know that you can make a generalization. I think that it really depends on everybody's individual circumstance. I think if you're going to make any generalities, now is always better because we know what we know right now. We have no idea what's going to happen in 6 months. And there could be something that just completely blindsides us, in terms of, the geopolitical, the economy, whatever. We know what we know now. So banking on, okay, in 6 months, I know this will be a much better environment. We don't know that. Nobody knows that. So I think it's very dependent on their situation. And I think that now is usually a better time.
Yeah, and I like how you just said that. And again, for those listening, at the risk of sounding like salespeople that are like, well, right now is when you should do it. It's to be able to say that in such a way that says, what we know, right, is the interest rate is here. What we know is the inventory is here. So this is what we can give you in terms of being successful in this market. If you just say we're going to wait and see what happens, well, then in 6 months, we'll talk again and we'll see what's happening then, which, by the way, will be now then, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And then we'll do the same thing. So it isn't that we're trying to pressure you into doing something now versus later. It's just saying we only have the information we have right now. Right. And if you'd like to buy something, there's an antique store in West Seattle. You probably know it, Aaron, and it has a sign above it that says, when's the best time to buy an antique? Now, right? Because
right.
I think that's a really cool piece. I'll come back tomorrow and buy it. Oh, wait, right. Someone else bought it. So yeah, there's a little bit of that. If it's time for you to buy a house, then buy a house.
Right.
And then when it's time for you to sell, it's time for you to sell. And we'll deal with whatever market is happening at that time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, is there anything else that we should know about the Aaron Janus Group before we end this call?
No, I've learned things about myself here too. So thank you for this opportunity. It's always wonderful. So this is a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for listening in to Pocket Hours. I hope this has been interesting, fun, made you laugh, made you think, spurred you on to do and implement some new things in your business. I appreciate your time and hope this has been a good use of it, period. Now, go be the agent you would hire.